Hey, everybody, and welcome to the HERstory Collaborative. My name is Jen Buck, and I'm your host. This show is all about amplifying women who are making a difference in their corner of the world. And today's guest is no different. She's such a rock star. I had a chance to meet her and do some work with her on some of her events, and I just adore her. I think she is just killer, and I had to have her on the show. So let me introduce you to today's guest. Her name is Erica Maurer, and Erica is a veteran in the events marketing and hospitality industry. She's an entrepreneur, owner, event producer, coach, and speaker. She's a partner at EMRG Media, a leading events marketing, production, and creative agency. Her company created the Event Planner Expo, the leading trade show for the events, marketing, and hospitality industry. Erica is a co-founder of the Women's Insider Network, also known as WIN, an inclusive community of female founders, entrepreneurs, business leaders, and thinkers. She started this in 2020, and that's when they founded it upon the belief that when women gather, connect, and share, incredible things happen. She is hosting a monthly summit where women attendees get to learn from and interact with high-level speakers. WIN's mission is to inspire and impact 100,000 or more women to create a better everyday life. Now, some of her clients include, and I just sort of am mind blown on this, are BuzzFeed, Columbia Records, Cardi B, Robin Hood Foundation, 1-800-Flowers, PitchBook, Twitter, and Google, just to name a few. Erica has generated over $100 million in events, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So welcome to the collab, Erica. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thanks, Jen. That was such a nice intro, and I'm so thrilled to be here.
You are somebody that it was really unexpected to me. And I know that we've had a lot of interaction, and I've probably said this to you too many times, but I'm just so impressed by who you are. But more than that, impressed that you seem to have such a commitment to amplify women in your space. And that's, the song of my people. And so tell me a little bit about the Women Insider Network. I think that people tuning in would be really impressed by what you're doing.
Perfect. So basically the global pandemic hit, and our business went from, 8-9 figures to literally nothing in essence in a couple days, because as Cuomo in New York announced that non-essential businesses didn't matter anymore and everyone should go home, our business basically dissolved. And with that, since we do events and marketing, we saw it as an opportunity because our community was really devastated. I mean, we're still not back full swing by any means, like the city's still shut. And we use that as a way to kind of create virtual event experiences. And that wasn't even something that we actually did before. We did in person, but we realized that in person wasn't coming back. So my partner was like, we need to do this. And we just kind of made that shift. And with that, we started off with creating some stuff for the events and hospitality industry. But reality is a lot of them are women. And so from that, a lot of them said, oh my God, this was so amazing. Like, I want to come together. How can I connect with women? Like, I feel displaced. And it was bigger conversations started. And we saw that there was a really big need because everyone was so isolated. Everyone was so displaced. Everyone's jobs were shifting. The responsibilities were shifting. Women run the household, right? They handle the home for the most part. And they also, a lot of times, are successful career people. So now they were juggling many more hats and working from home with whoever else had to be there. So there was a lot of shifting. And so that's where the whole concept kind of came out. And we had always wanted to put this together. Like, we had talked about this for years and we never found the time. And we were like, okay, we have a pause. Let's really try to do this. Let's reach out to our relationships. Let's call on the people that we've done business with and say, hey, would you mind taking center stage and sharing your story? Would you mind telling us how you market? Would you mind, and one by one. And, we also did some outreach and curated like a really great lineup. And we said, just share your knowledge, share something that someone listening would be inspired by, that could take away some piece that would make them feel like they accomplished something, that they could be inspired by. And here we are.
Here we are. And, I have to tell you, so same thing with you. And we've talked about this, that, when COVID hit, all my events canceled. And I just watched it quarter by quarter by quarter, even moving into, of course, 2021, just major events falling. And so, of course, I was in the same boat as you and having to pivot. And So I have done a lot of these online events. It's what's kept me afloat, doing conferences and keynotes online and whatnot and trainings. I will tell you that you, without a doubt, have the best package for someone like me that's going to be speaking at your events. You have the best package, whether it's the artwork, the copy that's created, the system that you have to keep everybody involved. I mean, it's seamless, and it's so obvious that what you're doing online in this space is what you've done so incredibly well in another. Because for me, it's literally, it's like Keynote in a box. Like I just have to copy what you do and put it out to my people, and it's the best because everything's so beautiful and so perfectly written. So kudos there, because it's,
I mean, that means a lot coming from you, like a lot, because I know you do it all over, and I know you've been doing this for a long time. So thank you.
Well, it's great. And so what also is new is that when I was doing in person, I was never asked to share anything. And this is a different world now where we have to collaborate in order to magnify and amplify, right? And so it really has been incredible how you've created, like I said, this sort of speaker package for me, that I don't have to do anything. I just have to put it together and send it out. And it really has helped me understand how the power of that collaboration is exactly what creates success, and I never had to do that before. So it's been really cool for me to realize how great it is, and how easy it is, and really how successful it ends up being. So many thanks for that.
Well, you're welcome. I mean, thank you for being part of it. And, we always thought, before, right, collaborating was done, like you said, a little bit in a different way.
Yeah.
But then when you think about it from an amplification of people's voices, and you say, you know what, like if I serve this, if my strength is this and yours is that, and then you assemble a team of all these different people, it's almost like a spokes in the wheel, right? Like, and you make the wheel go. And it's interesting because someone can come on and say, like, I'm interested in fitness. And they realize, no, you know what? I'm interested in fitness and I need to get healthier, but I actually need to improve my leadership, or I need to improve my X. And what does that look like? And all of a sudden people are connected. So I think it's a really great way of kind of bridging that.
Yeah. Now you have an event coming up that I'm doing with you. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So it is called Spring into Action, and it correlates with the season changing, right? We want to get people going, and we want people to take action, right? Like, this has been a challenging year, people starting to reemerge and so forth. People are getting back into the market space. We want people to go in and really be able to do the best that they can and be armed with the tools, because we're not always armed with the tools, right? So we want to be able to elevate, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And you have 30 speakers who are going to be a part of it, some celebrity speakers, which is really cool. Yes. And this is going to be how many days?
It's going to be 5 days. It's May 17th through the 21st. And it kicks off at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to be doing an ensemble, different, concepts, different topics, really, really bringing on. And actually this time we have 2 male speakers. Okay. So we're excited. We're amplifying them into the women's world, right? And we're going to be talking about a lot of really great scenarios and topics.
That's cool. And for anybody that's tuning in, this is a free event, and this is something that you can be a part of. I'll be sure to make sure that we get the link in the bio so that anyone that is listening, watching can tune in. The cool thing is you can sort of just, pick and choose what works for you time-wise within your schedule and day. And I love that you're doing it over such a long period. I mean, that just makes it so great for people to be able to find the time, whatever that looks like within their day. And so very, very cool. Now, tell me about how you started with your events company. I don't think that most people interact with someone who has an 8 to 9 figure business, right? I mean, this is extraordinary success. Tell me a little bit about it. Tell us how you started. I mean, how do you get Cardi B? Hello, Cardi B. I mean, this is huge, right? So
yeah. So I mean, it started off that I actually went to grad school at Columbia, and I thought that I wanted to be a licensed therapist. That was kind of my direction. And I was probably like a couple months in, and I said, you know what? Not really what I want to do. And my parents were like, well, we don't really care. You need to like finish it, and you can start whatever your passion project is on the side.
Yeah.
And we'll see what kind of shakes out.
Yeah.
So I worked at a few agencies. I did donor relations. I had an opportunity where one of the like my teacher mentors was basically like doing this project where we was fundraising, and they said, oh, we need an extra hand. and I really liked it. I liked, reaching out. I liked speaking to people. I liked seeing the vision. And ultimately you're solving a problem, right? But it's a different kind of problem. So that was kind of the start. And then I just literally started to kind of hustle around and say, like, what can I work on? Who has an opportunity? How can I get my hands and, and feet, moving and so forth and foot in the door, and just kind of it built from there. And I realized like that was something that I really, really liked.
Yeah.
And it kind of grew, and I went into the direction of events and marketing, and over the years just built up relationships, and those relationships refer me to other relationships. And we do these events ongoing. So when we say like Columbia Records or Google, like I've been working with Columbia Records probably almost 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And just they, we kind of keep doing it. I'll do the VMAs with them. Atlantic Records is with Cardi B. They'll come to me and say, we need this, a lot of times I do stuff last minute. We need this amazing space and we need this concept. And what do you have? And, in New York, we represented a ton of spaces. So we had access, to the spaces. We had access to the vendor partners through our trade show.
Yeah.
We had the corporate relationship. So it was kind of like one-on-one kind of grew. And also a lot of people that I was friends with, like in grad school and from college and from my area, like we all kind of came to the city. We all got older, right? So they all kind of started to land jobs, and then they were like, oh, Erica can, be that person. So it kind of just snowballed.
Yeah.
And it did take like a lot of work. It does take a lot of work. It is a lot of hours, but they always say like, if you love what you do, you're never working. So there you go.
So I have a question, and this is kind of weird and outside of the box, but are you a natural extrovert? Because I would think in this job, no. Okay. I would think in this job, you have to be, you're the face of everything, and you have to be super, keen on what perfect looks like and what everything has to timing, has to look like, has to be. I don't know how you do this if you're not an extrovert.
So I'm the person that will like be in the room and watch. I'm the observer. And so that's kind of how I operate. So I'm great. Like when you say, hey, we have to do this, I'm going to do it. Right. Yeah. But if you put me in a room with 100 people, I'm probably talking to one.
Got it.
So that's kind of like how it is. And I think that like from watching and just observing, that's kind of like where I see it. I can pick up like those kind of little details. Yeah. But if you put me in a room with strangers, I'm not talking to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually just talking to somebody, and I was telling her that I've been an extreme extrovert my whole life, right? Just everybody assumes that I can talk to everybody, but put me in a party where I know no one.
Yeah.
I do not flutter around like a butterfly. Like it's definitely not my style at all. But once I know you, I'll talk your ear off. But it's an interesting kind of ambivert thing. I'm a little bit of both, and yeah. But I would think that doing events would be really exciting. Do you ever get starstruck or anything, or is it just part of the job?
I think at this point, it's just part of the job. We've done some really, really amazing events. So it kind of flowed. Like when we do the VMA, after party, and you have all the stars coming, or when you do these like really, really high level, I've done a lot of celebrity events. I did the Casio and Kanye West event and so forth. Wow. It kind of just feels like it's more like, okay, you're working. So you kind of don't have that moment to be like, what's going on? You're kind of just going through it and making sure everything's in place.
Sure. No, I bet. So what do you do so I know you love what you do. I know you're good at what you do. What do you do when like the stuff hits the fan? How do you, COVID's the perfect example. How do you keep moving? How do you keep your eye on like your true north when everything sort of starts to fall apart?
So, before the pandemic, obviously I'm a very hands-on person. Yeah. So, if something was to go awry, I literally will just kind of come up with a plan and we'll swoop in and we'll fix it. Right. But we try to really have everything pre-mapped out. So we call it as more of we're babysitting, whereas like we're sitting and we're observing, but we shouldn't really have to do much because everything really should be timed, and the run of show and, the outlines and everything like that. But usually I'm the person, if there is a problem, that they send in and say like, Erica, can you resolve it? Because I am a good like resolution person. Yeah. But hopefully that's far and few between. Yeah. And then with the pandemic, it kind of changed because now you can't go in person and resolve things. Everything is virtual. So you have to actually troubleshoot it almost as if you're producing a movie, right? You have to go like skit 1, scene 2, and you really have to flow it out because you can't go in as you would as an in-person situation and resolve it. You have to be able to forward think and have a plan B as to what would happen if, you lost all of a sudden, your audio or your visual.
Yeah.
Where do we do? Who's going to fill in? How are we going to jump in? Those kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you love about it?
I love the fact that it's always a little bit different. I love the fact that, you have that freedom to kind of take the personality of whoever you're working with and incorporate that. And just the fact that people trust us to be able to, create those visions and say like, okay, we're going to go to X, we're going to go to the EMRG team as opposed to someone else.
Yeah. Your creativity must be on overdrive. I would imagine that you're always, especially with things like virtual reality happening right now. And, all of the pivoting that we're doing because of the pandemic, your creativity just must be exploding off you.
Yeah. I mean, it gives a lot of versatility. It gives you a lot of free reign. Like we talk about it, like in the events industry, a lot of people aren't going to come back to market because those people who really weren't in it for the passion and for the love are going to dissolve, right? They already got new jobs. They left because they weren't going to wait it out. So it actually opens up a whole new spectrum of like what you now can create because you've had a year and almost 3 months of nothingness. Yeah. So now the new norm can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. Same thing happened actually with the speaking industry. We lost so many speakers that just couldn't stay afloat. They didn't have, I guess, the foundation in place to be able to figure out a way to get through this time. And so we lost a ton of speakers too. But I'm actually thrilled about the, I guess, pivot that we've all been forced into. Obviously not thrilled about the pandemic. I mean, that's horrible and all of that. But the point is I was pushed to a space where I had to find a way to be able to do this differently. This is kind of my life's blood, interacting and talking to people. And I had to find different ways to do it. And this is, for me, I think we've even spoken about this before. This is something that really has made me recognize that I'm ready for kind of a hybrid world. Like I'm ready for some of these different ideas. And I was talking to somebody who was asking me, she said, Jen, I want you to think about this. She was an event planner. She goes, imagine if I got you 5 events in 1 week and every one of them paid your speaker's fee. And we sent you wherever you wanted to go. She said, pick a place. I said, I don't know, Fiji. She said, we sent you to Fiji. That was 5 travel, per diems in one. We sent you to Fiji. We set you up with, a studio that you could do all 5 of your keynotes, virtual reality. And you go to Fiji, you do your 5, you get your speaker fee and you come home. Would you be interested? And I was like, sign me up, sign me up. And that's not something I think for me, I ever would have really thought about. I don't know that that honestly, it just kind of took the lid off for me because in my mind, speaking is speaking, Right.
No, so, it's totally true. And a whole new world was created, right? Like I never did, prior to the pandemic, I never did interviews, but we had our trade show and our keynote was Damon John. Mm-hmm. And, my partner was like, well, I'm the marketer. You're the face. You're going to have to do it. And I was like, I'm not doing it. And he's like, no, you have to do it. So I literally did it. So I had to interview like Jamie Kern-Lima. I had to interview Damon John, Kevin Harrington, like Tim Story, like serious people, right? But I didn't have a choice. And I think that like, that's what we have to do. Like when you don't have a choice, you kind of embrace this new norm. And so like, if someone came and said, hey, I'm going to bring you to Fiji, I'm going to do this, you're going to be like, sure. I mean, Fiji's amazing. And that's always a great opportunity. But I think that that's kind of what's occurred, right? We've all had to kind of adjust.
Yeah. And I think that there's such an incredible opportunity also for us to have those VR kinds of events where you don't need to pay the speaker as much, right? Because there's not going to be a travel per diem, but you do have the opportunity to beam somebody in and still get this killer event. And I can tell you, as much as I love to travel, I'm one of those that I actually love that part of my job. I don't hate it. I used to hear a lot of speakers always say, I get paid to travel, not paid to speak. I love the travel, right? I love airports. I love planes. I love it all. But I do, now that I've been home for a year, I do actually hope that I can be home more. Like it's shifted something in me that I hope I get to do more of this hybrid. And I hope that this doesn't fully go away, because there is this great opportunity to sit in my office and do it, or fly if someone needs it, or go to a local studio and do a VR, and I just think it's really exciting. I think we're going to see major innovation come out of this incubation period. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that, like you just said, like the hybrid isn't going to go anywhere. That's going to be a new integration. It's going to be a whole nother door that's opened and created because of the pandemic. It showed us that we can take people from all over the country
Yeah.
and the world and basically include them, which we never ever could before.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So let me ask you this. If you could do it all again, and maybe, like sans COVID, but whatever, if you could do it all again, would you choose this job over and over and over again?
I would.
Yeah. Oh, that's great to hear. So no regrets.
No, my parents always said that they thought I was going to do this, like when I was younger. But when your parents tell you, you're like, no, I'm not. So I think I kind of went the other way because they suggested it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I love it. I think it's great. I mean, there wouldn't be anything that I would change.
Yeah. What would you tell women who are, and I'm specifically talking women just because that's the majority of our audience. So what would you tell women who are interested in getting involved in the event space?
So for anyone who's interested in getting into the events or hospitality industry, what I would say is find somebody that you admire, find somebody that, you really, really want to aspire to, and ask them, just reach out to them, DM them, email them, say, hey, can I intern for you? Is there an opportunity that I can do? Can I provide my service? You'd be very surprised with how receptive people will be, because if you can show that you can provide some value, or you say, hey, I just want to, can I help you on an event, or whatever that capacity is, that's a great way of kind of making sure that you want to do it, because doing events is not a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It's not even a 9 to 8. It could be a 9 to 3 a.m. in the morning. Like it's serious hours. So that's something I always say is like, try it. See what it's like being on, the floor at an event and running around and a setup and a breakdown, and what those aspects look like, right? Like, how do you produce the event? Because there's a lot of pieces that go into it. And some people like to do the admin part of an event, which is all of the paperwork leading up, working with a client on the, food and stuff. And some people like to be on the floor and actually working with the client. So there's different ways you could be in the events industry. They don't all look the same.
Yeah.
So that to me is the most important, is really do your research,
because,
it's a lot.
Yeah. And it's so multifaceted. Our daughter is 23 and she has gotten her bachelor's and master's with an intention of going into the events industry. And so all through her school, she was working for different event companies, and she's put on like bowl games, big events that it was actually the ESPN tent for one of the college bowl games. And she loved it, but she thrives on all those, like 22-hour days. Like she just loved it. And but she was also the one that sort of front facing, loves to be out there and right in the middle of all the action, and the whatever, apple doesn't fall far from the tree, it's kind of the same kind of personality. So I want to shift into one of my favorite parts of the interview, which is when I ask you some speed questions. And yes, it's fun for anybody tuning in, but it's always really fun for me because I don't know how long I'd have to know you before I would know these things. So I'm going to shoot 10 questions at you, and you just give me whatever comes to your mind in the moment. Cool?
All right, let's try it.
Awesome. Okay. So if you had an hour to sit with any woman in history on a park bench and just chat, who would that woman be for you?
It would actually be my great grandmother. And I know that might sound weird and odd, but I didn't really get to know her, and I heard such wonderful things. So I think I would use that as an opportunity to come back and really like understand like my family history of it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it. I absolutely love it. No, not weird at all, because I don't care who it is. It doesn't have to be someone famous. So I love that. So are you a sweet person or a savory person?
Combo.
Oh, okay. So you're like the salted caramel person.
I'm not, but I like both ends of the spectrum.
Okay.
So I go back and forth.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So you just won, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars on the lottery. What's your first spend?
I think it is a beach home down by, like I grew up by the water, but I would love to get like right front on the beach. That would be my first spend.
Yeah. The year before COVID, I spent a week out in the Hamptons. Oh my gosh. It's a dream out there. And I'm from the ocean in California, but that is just a whole different thing. It's so beautiful. Just love it.
It's nice. And I grew up on the Jersey Shore. So going to the beach and, you know, there's like a handful of homes that are just like, you wake up and the beach is there. And I think that would be my
Oh,
thing.
totally. Yeah, agree. So what's your favorite book?
Well, I have two, and I'm
Oh,
going to just show it to you.
seriously. All right.
So I have the new book by Jamie Kernlima, who actually came on our trade show.
Yes.
And Undaunted, which is by Kara Golden, CEO of Hint Water. And they're both really great, and they're inspirational from a women entrepreneurial perspective. So it's a great read.
Oh, that's good to know. I always, after these interviews, what I do is I go and I write two things down. One are the book suggestions. So thank you. Love Jamie Kernlima. Love, 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 love. Believe It, right? I think you might have done Believe It too, didn't you?
Yep, we helped out.
Yep.
And she came and she spoke at our expo. She's amazing.
She is so great. Yes, love her. And the other thing I do is write down people's theme songs. So be thinking about that, because that's coming in a few questions. So what's the best advice you've ever been given?
Do whatever you feel like you want to do. Try it. You don't want to look back with regrets.
Yeah.
You want to follow whatever that is. So I always say, like, I always take the path that no one travels. My mom always jokes about it. She's like, but you could have went this way. And I was like, yeah, but I needed to go that way.
Yeah.
So that to me is really important. I don't think that you should take what someone else says in your life, because it's their life, right? So you need to kind of understand where you want to go and be okay with taking a different path.
Yep. Love it. Absolutely. So when you're processing something, trying to find a solution, are you more of a thinker through the process, a talker through the process, or a doer through the process?
Thinker.
Yeah. Okay.
Thinker.
That doesn't surprise me.
Very analytical, very analytical. Like, I have to think about something and run it through my head.
Yep.
I'm a slow action taker,
Okay.
but that's because I try to make sure that I'm making the right decision.
Okay, got it. So this question, I already know the answer, and this is an East-West thing, you know, like the whole East Coast, West Coast thing, and I just know what your answer is going to be. So, pineapple on your pizza?
No.
No, of course not. No. Between New York and Chicago, they're always like, no, don't bring pizza with pineapple. See, West Coast, we're all about the pineapple, and we're all about having jalapenos at the same time. All of that. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, jalapenos are good, but pineapple's good, but
Not
together, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. This is just the punch in the mouth thing. Anyway, next question. People are here to see you speak. You've got 30,000 people in the audience. What song are you walking on stage to?
So there's a song. It is from Body and Soul, from, like, I think they want to say, like, it was the summer of '99, and it says, it's just like a happy, upbeat song, and that is the song.
Okay.
So it's not a well-known song, but it has, like, a very good tempo.
Okay, you better text me that, so at least I can find it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine is Roar.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the one.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
all-
Mine is, like, really about the, it's like, I'm not going to sing it for you, but it gets you in, like, a very good mood. It's like a very good tempo vibe.
Okay, nice. You better text me, because I'm going to want to hear it.
Okay.
Does it make you look cool walking? Is that what it is? It's like at the perfect.
It, like, gives me the energy. I play it every morning in this, like, mix when I'm walking. Yeah. So it kind of just, like, it has, like, this, like, upbeat, and it gets you energized. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. What's the best word to describe you?
Persistent and relentless.
Oh, really? Good to
Yeah.
know. That's awesome. Okay. Finish this sentence. When I'm really, really old, I hope to see.
Great grandkids.
That's an important answer.
I don't know.
Yes.
If I'm alive to do that, I don't know, maybe.
Yes. Are you living past 100?
I mean, that is the intent.
Good. Good.
That is the goal. I think that'll happen possibly.
Okay. Good. It's surprising to me to see how few people are like, no, I don't want to live past 100. I'm like, what?
No, I want to live to, like, forever. I mean, I think that would be, like, fascinating to watch and to see what evolves and what happens and be a part of it.
So check this out. This is totally going off whatever, but I was doing a keynote for a big event. It was like the lunch keynote. So I got there, and before me was the industry that it was for was all insurance. Every insurance type was there. And there were 24,000 people at this thing, because I remember at the time it was like, oh my God, I've hit the big time, right? And so I was there a little bit early, like an hour. And so it was another speaker that was up there who was a part of Congress. And he was on this particular, I don't know, what do we even call it? He was on like a task force or whatever, because what they found is that all children that were born after 2000 were going to be expected to live to 123 for girls. I'm sorry, 123 for boys and 125 for
Why
girls.
is that?
Isn't that interesting? And so the issue was, how do we now deal with annuities, right? So if everybody gets paid out at 100, how is that going to impact us? Well, if it stays where it is, those annuity levels and limits, it's going to bankrupt the bedrock, industry in our country, which is insurance. And so anyway, I always think about that. Like, I am so in. Give me 125. I'm so there.
Did they explain why?
Well, they did. It was technology. It was advancements in medicine. It was all of the things that, because they were identifying how the, I guess, the ages were extending, right? Life expectancy was extending. And they knew that it was happening because of all of these advancements in technology and how it's impacting medicine. And so they could look at the rate of expansion and identify what that meant for, people that were born at that 2000 point.
That's so interesting.
Totally cool. Yeah. So I'm so in. I am so in. So listen, we got to pull this all together, but I do want you to give us, some info about where people can find you for all the things. You've got your hands in a lot. So could you give us, maybe some websites or social media pages, whatever it is?
Yeah, perfect. So if you want to follow me or send an email, you can go to events at EMRG Media. If you're interested in the women, we have springintooactionchallenge.com. And if you're interested in event planning and you want a downloadable free option to learn a little bit, you can go to bookevents.com. I know that was a lot. You could shoot an email to the events at EMRG Media and we'll get you to the right place.
Love it.
All of that leads to me.
And I'll have all of that in the notes so that people can look at that, when they are tuning in. So Erica, thank you so much. This has been fun for me just because I like you so much. But I do want to, before we leave, say thank you very much to our sponsor, who is 100 Angels. 100 Angels is a group that works with communities that have been impacted, and they are families who often don't have the medical care or needs that they need to survive. And so 100 Angels swoops in and helps these people so that they can function and thrive within our communities. So if you'd like to get involved with 100 Angels or learn a little bit more, you can go to 100angels.org, and I'm sure they would love to hear from you. So Erica, until I text you again, right? You're probably so sick of me by now. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.
See y'all next time. Bye-bye.